Hello, friends. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Muzzle Punch. But hey, this isn't going to be another episode of Muzzle Punch. This is going to be the second episode of Rude and Skewed that Pat and I did. Our guest was Brittany Decker. She did us this great favor of sitting down with us and talking to us about all kinds of stuff. Brittany's an amazingly interesting person. She competed in Miss America. She is a accomplished news personality, and she was kind enough to sit down with us and let us interview her, and she even entertained us with some fantastic vocal stylings. It was really fun. It was a lot of laughs to be had. The whole thing was blast, and hearing Brittany sing was just awesome. Pure awesomeness. Upcoming episodes of Muzzle Punch, I've got some pretty interesting stuff coming up. So next weekend, I'll be sitting down with a good friend, really bright young woman named Amanda Defer. She's going to sit down with me. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, but specifically, we're going to talk about Syrian refugees and stuff along those lines. And the following week, I'm going to sit down with my cousin Jessie and her daughter Mel, and we're going to dive into the whole race in America issue again, because a lot of people felt that was a good conversation that K-Rock and I had. And I'd like to dig into it a little further, especially based upon last week's most recent incidents of police shootings of 2 black males. So, lots of interesting stuff coming up. I'm going to put out a couple more episodes of Rude and Skewed. Got after this one, there's 3 left. So, hopefully, before I run out of Rude and Skeweds to get out, be able to get Pat in here, sit down and talk. Thanks again for all your listening, everybody, and we'll talk soon.
Break it down like this.
For no problem. All units stand by. 7-0 receiving a 34 with a weapon. 1549 East 18th Street. 1549 East 28th.
All right, we're live. What's up, Pat?
Not much. How are you?
I'm good. And as promised, we have Brittany Decker with us. So she's our first guest, and she's a little bit sketched out. She's not sure what to make of it.
I just learned this week I've been suckered into this thing, and that you had promised prior that I'd be here, so I had no choice but to be here. But I'm happy. I'm happy.
There you go.
Content, right in this chair.
Awesome.
I think we're doing well. Second episode, we already have a guest speaker.
Here we go.
I think so also. Sorry, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. Before we went on, Pat and Britt were about to have a conversation about some, I don't know, an Americana or some shit that you had.
Oh.
So go ahead. Now you can carry on your conversation, because this is something that
I've had a lot of questions
podcast.
about this, yes.
So we stopped at a cafe on our way here. We just came from Boston, and I got a coffee, and it was, we tried to do the whole sit-down thing, enjoy the coffee, so I got an Americano. And it only had one size option. It was $3.75 for the coffee, and it came, I swear to God, in like a soup bowl. It was so fucking big. Now I'm like sweating, but I'm cold, and I'm
Was it watered
shaky.
down since it was one espresso?
I think there was at least like 4 shots of espresso in this shit.
So you're feeling great.
Oh, I'm like a little anxious.
Where was this?
B Sisters Cafe in Framingham.
Well, there you go. B Sisters Cafe, you owe us now for a spot. We don't worry, it's a good deal. You can contact our lawyer.
Good coffee. Good coffee.
Good coffee. And obviously a kick-ass Americano that gives you the shakes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the good shakes,
It's the good shakes. It's the good shakes.
I haven't had coffee now. I think it's been 3 months since I've had coffee. And whenever I drink, I know, it's crazy. I work the early morning show, too. I should have coffee, but I start getting shaky, and my heart starts beating fast, and I don't even like the taste anymore. But I used to be crazy about the espresso and coffee. And if I drank that, I would have been lying on this couch, passed out.
If I don't have coffee, I go into withdrawals. I have shakes. So as long as I have coffee, I'm fine.
I get a pretty bad headache if I go too long without it, which is probably a bad sign.
That is.
No, because there's plenty of coffee still around, so you're
true.
fine.
That's true.
And it's cheap as far as drugs go.
Going off caffeine, I have a pretty good caffeine story, like with anxiety attacks and stuff. I tell my
I'm always
wellness
interested in
students about
anxiety
it.
attack.
So
Caffeine.
basically, it was, I think, junior year of college, maybe senior year. It was junior year. I was just starting to really get into the whole nutrition thing and the exercise science thing, and really thinking about what I'm doing to my body. And I had a bunch of friends who, did the whole pre-workout thing. They'd be like, all right, dude, let's take a scoop of this and like go hit the weights and this and that. And having the gymnastics background, I was pretty new to the weightlifting aspect. So I forget what it was, but this shit was potent. And I woke up, we did the workout before classes started, so we were there at 6 in the morning, and I was like, I've never had it before, I'm only doing a half a scoop, and I'm, a small dude. So we go in there, and I can't get anything done. I'm shaking, like, I do one rep, and I feel like I'm going to pass out. I'm like, what is this shit? This is insane. So I stop working out, I go back and take a shower before class, and that kind of wore off the anxious feeling a little bit, the shakes. And in class, I could not pay attention at all. The teacher was talking about some interesting stuff, I'm sure, but I was like not having it. I was like looking out the door, tapping my feet, like not me at all. Then we went to our student union, and my ritual after that class every Monday, Wednesday, Friday was to get a coffee. So I was like, all right, I feel a little bit better. I think I can handle a coffee. I'll put some extra milk in it to, water it down, the caffeine levels. And then I had that coffee, and then we had lunch, and I had like a severe anxiety attack. Like, couldn't eat any food, laying on my chair, like shaking. It was so bad. I
can understand that, and I've heard about pre-workouts. You hear mostly great things, but someone had given me a pre-workout before too, and I wasn't really used to it, and I drank it really quick before my workout. I was so sick. I felt it right away.
Who is this someone? Who is this nefarious person?
It's an anonymous person who gave me this. But I was so sick the entire day. I couldn't even function. I remember going to Panera Bread to do some schoolwork, sitting in the booth, passed out. I don't know what was in it. It was never experimented before. I was the guinea pig, apparently, for this.
Was it possibly a good-looking bearded gentleman? They are not trustworthy.
Yes.
Never trust a guy with a beard.
Yes. But I could see what you mean. It totally affected my entire body.
It was too much.
I've never done a pre-workout.
Oh, don't do it.
I mean, I guess I drink coffee like it's going out of style, so technically I guess that would fall into the pre-workout kind of thing, but I kind of see it as keeping my coffee blood levels even.
Well, when I teach the kids in wellness about this, and I've done a few talks with teenage, like high school students about pre-workout and what they're doing, because they just buy stuff because their older siblings do it or because it looks cool on the internet. And they don't know what they're buying, and especially these kids that are athletes in college, and there could be stuff in there, if they get tested, could kick them off the team. But there's pre-workouts out there that their goal is to make your skin tingle. Like, there's actually ingredients in there that makes your skin tingle and, like, go numb and shit like that. And you're like, oh, like, it has, like, all this I forget what this pre-workout had. It had, like, mind control, I think it's called. Like, that was one of one of the blends. It's like, we have this mind control blend, and I mean, there's obviously good supplements for brain function, but this was just one of those pre-workouts and had mind control, like extreme blood flow and all this shit. Extreme. Yeah, everything's extreme. Extreme pump. You want that extra rep?
Yeah, no shit.
Take this. You want that PR? Take this shit.
Yeah,
that's why I took it. Let's do this.
Yeah, if you got a free sample, which is free samples is always the gateway. That's how a drug dealer gets you hooked. Free sample knocks you out. You're nodding off at Panera,
just a taste.
and then all of a sudden you come back.
There was something in it. I don't know what it was, but
probably cocaine.
Really, it could have been. I have no idea. Be mortified if that was the case, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, that's a good opening conversation.
Yes, welcome.
But the purpose for bringing Brittany Decker here, and just a little backstory on Brittany Decker. She's not something of, but she actually is a local celebrity.
Please.
She is. She's well known. She's watched by, I don't know, what's your viewership?
0 to I'm not. No, we have a pretty good show going on. We are the ABC, CBS, and Fox affiliate in Western Mass. All three of them. So yeah, good amount of viewers. I do the morning show and the afternoon show.
Yeah, she's part of a good team. She's the She happens to fill 2 roles in any team she's a part of. She's the beauty and the brains.
Oh, yeah? Why, thank you.
Why, thank you. She is a former Miss Connecticut, and here's the really cool thing, and this is something that I discovered in conversation with Brittany one time, is that, so she, being a former Miss Connecticut, she also was in Miss America. And it's actually just, the 4-year anniversary?
But it's been 5 years this year since I competed.
And that was just like this past weekend or something, right?
Yeah, yesterday, I think. 15.
Yeah. So there you go. So she's here just on the morning after her 5-year anniversary from Miss America. But here's the cool little tidbit. You're more likely to have a son play in the Super Bowl.
Win the Super Bowl.
Than to have a daughter compete in Miss America.
That's true. Yeah.
And that is really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's something I grew up wanting to do my whole life. Not my parents or nobody forcing me. I just always wanted to compete at Miss America. So I was able to follow through and do it. I just always wanted to be on the stage. So.
You know what? That's kind of funny because we shared that dream. That was my dream too until I found out that Miss America was sexist and wouldn't allow guys to compete.
I'd love to see your strut.
So I would like to point out that I think
you can pull it off.
I think it's unfair. Miss America is
you
a
would kick
sexist
butt in this
pageant.
swimsuit competition.
I'd look awesome.
Yeah, your turn.
I could have worn a kilt for the evening gown. They would have worn a kilt.
What would have been
Absolutely.
your talent?
Yeah.
Remember my talent?
Yeah.
Which one to choose?
I mean, gosh, think about it. I don't even know. I do this crazy thing with ping pong. I don't even want to get into it. Anyways, you normally have to go to Mexico or Thailand to see that stuff.
Oh, gosh.
Interesting.
Everyone would run out. Run.
But it would be memorable.
It would be
and
memorable.
People would talk about it for years to come.
They would. That is the truth.
See?
Is this something I should look up on like my incognito tab on
No.
Google?
No, you don't. No. You don't want to look it up.
At all?
No, there's no video of it out there. Well, not of me, thankfully.
Yes, thankfully. Amen. Amen, brother.
So that's a little backstory on Brittany Decker, who she is, what she's done, amongst many other things. Those are just a very short of what's probably a pretty lengthy highlight reel to include her academic accomplishments. But the reason for bringing her is to hear about Iceland.
Ooh.
And Pat thought you might be Icelandic until I pointed out that
so funny.
You lack the
language,
the height,
everything, pretty much everything to do with people in Iceland. But yeah, just got back. I think it's just been just over a week since I've returned here. I was only there for 6 days, 6 days. And I've been wanting to go for a very long time. So I researched a lot of things before going. And it was something I really wanted to do. So it was a Christmas gift. And I was able to go. It was great. You have any certain questions? Or you just want me to start blabbing?
Well, what was your reasoning? Why do you like Iceland so
I don't know. You know, I every time I bring it up to someone, or if I told somebody I was going, or even before that, if I told somebody I wanted to go, they thought I was so strange or so odd. Some people, though, would kind of know a little bit about it, which was almost weird because you don't hear about it, I guess. I think I remember reading something, and I just saw, something about Iceland. It was something completely random, so I just started doing searches myself and just kind of seeing what it was all about. And it was just a lot of things I wanted to do. They don't have any rupturing volcanoes right now, but they do have many volcanoes that are still active. I've always wanted to see a volcano. They've had a lot of backstories of different volcanoes there. The Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is a geothermal spa, so it's about 100 degrees in blue water. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Very relaxing. We went there one day. That was something I really wanted to do. Most importantly, I really wanted to go this time of year, especially to see the Northern Lights. It's been something that's been on my bucket list for my whole life, back till whenever I can remember. And you have to go really in the winter to be sure that you have a chance of seeing them. And there's only a little over 4 hours of daylight in January in Iceland, which is totally different from the summertime. In the summertime, there's 20 to 22 hours of daylight. So what we did, we actually went the first day. It was Sunday to go see the Northern Lights, and we didn't see them at all. It was a really, kind of crummy experience overall. We went the next night. It was amazing, totally different. You see the green in the sky dancing all around and the purple shimmering back and forth, and it was really everything that I was hoping and more. You picture when you see the photos online, the whole sky to light up. That doesn't happen, especially if you're in Reykjavik, which is the capital city. you can't see it with any of the light pollution. So you have to go out into the darkness and up in the hill where there's really no lights at all to be able to see them come out. And it also depends on the conditions of the night. If there's going to be cloud cover and if there's going to be moderate activity, high activity. So it's a lot of factors that go into it. But I was happy that we got to see it.
So if you couldn't see it from Reykjavik,
yep.
Is there a tour that you take that brings you to a location where you're far enough away so there's no light pollution and it's a clearer sky?
Yeah, you can go on a tour. You can just go by yourself. I mean, you drive 20 minutes just literally outside of the city, and Reykjavik is really the only real life there is there. I mean, there's a lot of cities, but there's also so many places in Iceland where it's just land, and we did that. We drove across to pretty much across to the other side of the country. And
is that where Vic was?
Yeah. Miles and miles and miles and miles, but absolutely nothing. But if you just drive right out of the city, you can see, you at least get nothing. Black sky. Nothing. But it was cool. Yeah, so go ahead.
No, I'm just listening. I mean,
sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much. But we did...
So let me talk some more.
You want to hear about Iceland? I'll talk about Iceland. I'm obsessed with it.
Talk.
Yeah, so we went... I know you had some interest in this town we went to called Vik.
Oh, yeah.
And
that place looks fucking cool as hell.
It was effing cool as hell.
You can say fuck on here.
I can,
okay.
but I don't want to be on record swearing.
I think you already have, actually.
Have I?
But that's okay.
Today?
Yeah, since we've been rolling.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went to Vik.
Shit, fuck. Go ahead.
You're a bad influence on my life. No, it's a small town, and there's nothing really to get to it, too. There's very little civilian life, I guess you could say. So it's a small town with population of about 300 people that sits at the foothills of a volcano. And it's a very eerie and creepy little town. It really is. It's literally the houses are stacked up. There's a little cemetery on the top that's all lit up. There's the black sand beach. That's beautiful. One of the most beautiful beaches in the world.
That's what I was going to ask you about, actually.
Oh, you would love it. It's so beautiful. I mean, literally just black sand. I'm assuming from the lava. It's all built. I mean, not built. It's there from the lava fields and beautiful black sand beach and creepy little town. It was cool.
Well, let's hope no one from Vic ends up listening to this and be like, great, I live in a creepy town.
They can't find me. And I told them it was creepy. I think we wanted to get pizza at 8 o'clock and everything was closing down. It was nuts. But went one night. There was nothing to do, so drove in this. Yeah, we found this little scary little road and just they believe in elves and trolls there.
Yeah.
So we were Googling stories about elves and trolls and just telling scary stories. For fun. Yeah. That's nothing to do. But it was great. It was a great trip.
There's actually a great independent film called Troll Hunter.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually really, really well done. And I think it's a Swedish film. It's one of the Nordic countries. Mm-hmm. And it's just awesome. It's worth watching. The production value is really high, even though it's a foreign film. They speak English because they're civilized, which is a good thing. But it's cool because the whole idea is based in when you know that those cultures, the Nordic cultures, do believe in trolls and elves and fairies and stuff like that. And when you see this and the different type of trolls that they talk about and how this guy hunts them and how it's kind of a conspiracy by the government so that people don't know about them. And he's technically kind of like a freelance government agent doing the government's job. It's a really cool movie. And now that you've been north like Troll that, Hunter, I think you'd really think it's cool.
I'd appreciate it. They literally have laws where you can't move certain rocks or stones or big things because they believe that the elves and the trolls that's where they live. There's laws where you can't mess with it.
They're markers for their territories.
Right.
Yeah, they're border markers. Yeah, I learned this from the movie.
I think I offended this man, though. I went in this gas station out in the middle of nowhere. I said, do you really believe in elves and trolls? Because look at this little mannequin little troll thing on the shelf. This is so dumb. And he's like, yeah, it's the real thing. So, all right, crazy.
So now, just so you know, thank you, because you have further perpetuated the disdain that Europeans have for Americans.
No, they were so nice. I've been to Europe. I've been to a few other places. And what I really noticed, I think, overall about Iceland is that people are really cool and nice and welcoming of tourists. That's, I think, how they thrive and kind of survive. on a lot of things. And it's built up, I guess, a lot in the recent years with tourists coming. They're very welcoming. They show you around. They want you to feel welcome, which I thought was it's technically Europe, Northern Europe, but it's so Americanized. You can go there. People speak their own Icelandic language, but they also speak English. You can use a credit card in most places. So they have, which it sounds menial,
Holy shit, they're civilized.
But people traveling, that's a big thing because they have their kroner, which is their dollar, which is, we use that, but it's very confusing. But it's very accessible. And it's only it's about 4.5, 5 hour flight. Reasonably priced. Hotels under $100. It's great.
Well, of course, of course their money's confusing. Have you ever listened to the language?
I've listened to it. I have no idea what they're saying.
Have you ever listened to Icelandic?
No.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like all over the place.
It's the hardest language to learn.
Yeah.
It's considered the most difficult. It is.
Those Asian languages seem pretty.
You can Google it.
Jay's going to look up.
He's going to look it up.
Icelandic is the hardest language to learn because it's not root. It doesn't have a root in other languages, like more common languages. So Chinese has a common with the other ones of Mandarin, I think it is a base. So there's a lot of dialects of it, and even modern Chinese. But there is a root language. Icelandic never branched off in other languages. It was very isolated, so it never influenced because most of your Germanic languages took over Northern Europe, and you run into other languages like that. But Icelandic is supposedly linguistically is the most difficult language to learn.
That's interesting.
What were the people like there? How much different is it than the U.S.? Well, obviously, they're probably going to be tall. Yeah,
I read beforehand, and I, again, just researching, doing a lot of the reading beforehand, that everyone was, people that live there, that are from there, are all, like, generational people that go there and never leave. So there's very few people that are different ethnicities or come from different places to live there. So it was thought that people all look the same. They're all beautiful people. But I didn't get the feeling personally that everyone looked the same or, had the same features for me anyway. But everyone was, beautiful and, you could tell they had a certain look to them. But they're, like I said, just personality, I guess, wise, they were all super friendly and very welcoming, no matter where you go to the different areas, from the city, which is, you wouldn't expect people to be overly nice when it's kind of a crowded place anyway, to the smaller areas. Everyone is super friendly.
Well, yeah, I guess philosophically, when you might not have been able to delve deep, but their values and everything like that, did you notice anything that was drastically different, worth noting?
Not that I can't think of a specific instance, I guess, of values. But I did just notice that they were very Americanized in their ways. I felt like I was at home, a lot of the same courtesy and a lot of the same standard, greetings and things like that. I don't know.
I never get to travel, so I don't know anything about it.
I say, it's so hard. Traveling is so hard, and this is something that I love my job, I love my life, but if I had the financial means and the time to travel, that's the thing I want to do in my life, even if it meant taking a hiatus from my job for a while, because every time I've traveled to nowhere, I've been to Asia, I've been to Haiti, I've been now to, a few different places and around the country, but that's when I've learned the most in my life. Just not reading or not talking to people, it's traveling and kind of being submerged in a culture. And I just wish everyone could do it, and it's hard. It's expensive, and it's hard to get the time. And even if if you have money, you don't have the time. If you have time, you don't have the money. Whatever the case may be. But I have a great friend from home, and she had cancer not too long ago. She's our age, and she is very adventurous. She's a very cool person. Why are you laughing at me?
Well, it's funny you said our age. I think there's actually a pretty good deviation between.
I didn't look at you. I looked at Pat.
But I think the funny thing is, I think Pat's.
How old are you?
23.
Are you really?
Yep.
And
no, you're not.
And how old are you, Brittany Decker?
I'm getting old.
How old are you, Brittany Decker?
26.
Oh, 26.
That's
okay.
Bad. Yeah.
27.
It's 3-year difference.
Yeah. Just because you're 27. Double.
I'm not. Whoa. Pump the brakes there, sweetheart.
I'm joking.
I'm not double.
Calm down.
Jesus Christ. Brittany Decker throwing shots.
You wanted me on here. But my friend, she had this horrible life circumstance happened to her. And she started traveling after that. She's like, I don't know how I'm going to get it done, but I'm going to get it done. She just goes. And it's kind of what I hope to be like.
We've figured out
What's
the
the
hardest
research?
languages. So Icelandic is...
It's a category 4.
So that's the voice you're hearing now is Jay. So Jay, lean in a little bit so we can hear you. Jay's
Peanut Gallery. Come on over.
So it says it'll take 44 weeks or 1,100 hours to properly learn Icelandic, whereas it'll take 88 weeks to learn Arabic, Cantonese, Mandarin, Japanese, and Korean.
I could see that. I agree.
So they take longer?
For sure.
Yes.
Double.
Nah.
You're making stuff up, Carl.
Horseshit. No, I'm not.
It's so funny with you, though. You could say something, and you say it with such conviction that you get people to believe you.
I'm telling you, I'm not making
Right?
it up. Where's that from?
Am I wrong?
This is like effectivelanguagelearning.com.
Yeah, that's some
Rosetta
bogus
Stone.
bullshit site.
Literally.
That's some bogus
I think
bullshit
so.
site.
There's over 1 million people who have liked this.
Yeah, see,
I'm going to add my like to that.
so 1,000,001 idiots. Doesn't matter, the world's full of them.
I don't even know some of these languages. Tagalog?
What is
Tagalog, that's the language
No.
spoken in the Philippines.
I don't believe you anymore.
Go ahead, look it up. Language spoken in the Philippines.
I'm clicking on it. Hold on, there's a link. Tagalog. No, all right, fine.
Oh, what?
Credibility is back. So
Oh, my credibility's back. Okay.
just a little bit.
Oh, he's back. Oh, God.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff in here I can't even pronounce.
No, that's the thing. Their language, when it's written out, it looks so bananas crazy. It just looks
A lot
wild.
of umlauts and stuff.
Yeah, it just looked like the words like so big, and there's all these random little letters and stuff. It just, you can't even sound it out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at sounding things out, but you can't sound it out. Bugs me. Bugged me a
It
lot.
even says here that it's far from the most difficult language on the list, but it's extremely complicated. And it's spoken by less than 400,000 people on one island. So it has its own oddities. Like, you actually have to live there in order to understand what the heck they're actually talking
Right,
about.
it's
'Cause it
literally
changes.
only them, yeah.
They
They
can
have their
change it.
dialects
Yeah,
and their,
They
yeah.
can change it tomorrow. You could go back and order a hamburger and they think you're asking for...
Good thing I didn't pick it up at all. So.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of saunas there? Is there like saunas everywhere?
Yeah, well,
Thinking about Wim Hof?
What?
The Iceman Wim Hof? Are you thinking about him? They do. All right, so go ahead. Keep going with your line of question because it's interesting you asked that.
No, I'm just wondering.
they just, yeah, I mean, you don't see them everywhere, but they have a lot of hot springs, and there were a few geothermal areas. And they have geysers, the water that shoots up. They have a lot of just natural activity that's going on. A lot of it comes from underground and the way that they use their underground, pressure system, I guess. The steam that they use it to heat everything. They're so...
Oh, they use geothermal?
Everything is geothermal, so like they have
Wow.
geothermal plants there, so that's what they use to heat certain things, and they save so they were explaining on one of our tours that they're hoping one day to branch out and use that, be a whole new revolution for the rest of the world because it's so.
So one of the other things, I
friendly.
think it's Iceland, I'm pretty sure, and I think it was actually in Reykjavik, that they were the first public transit to use hydrogen-powered buses. So they've actually made a transition over to using hydrogen fuel for their public transportation. And, I mean, Europe's kind of known for its various means of public transportation. London's considered a walking city. They have a fairly good, they have a good subway, but they also use boats to get across the Thames River and stuff like that. Jay's like, I don't trust anything he says. But,
I believe you.
I'll believe it. When I
I'll
see
believe it.
but the thing is,
Show me
the
the
cool
YouTube
thing
video.
about having, so imagine when you're driving behind a PTA bus and all you get is this horrendous exhaust pouring out of the bus. Well, with a hydrogen powered bus, you want to get that. The only byproduct of hydrogen fuel is water. So you have a bus with all the power in the world. BMW has been playing with the idea. BMW is trying to pioneer hydrogen versus going full electric because the transition from a hydrogen powered vehicle, from a gas powered vehicle to a hydrogen powered vehicle, if they can crack the code, is much easier. Versus just exactly, and you already have the infrastructure because gas stations are already in place across the country, and that's been the big holdup for electric is charging stations.
It's too inconvenient for people. People want convenience, and it's just not. Electrical is not convenient at all. It's not practical. Right?
Not yet.
Right.
I don't think it is. I mean, you have to look for a charging station. They're not everywhere.
I'll tell you what, though, the Tesla cars, it's going to drive itself to that thing by 2018.
Pathetic,
By
but-
2018, Elon Musk's goal with
software upgrades into the Tesla cars is that if you, like, say I had a Tesla 2 years from now and I had flown in from California, but I was going to live here, I'd be able to send my car a text message and say, come to me. And it would self-drive from California to me here in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Real life Knight Rider.
Yeah.
It's just not okay.
Yeah. It's,
that's okay for me.
And everything they do is all software updates. And they push software, so like with your Mac or something like that. So, the current one, they came out with, an autopilot feature, and it got pushed out with the last, software update to the car. And all you do is set it and sit back and let it drive.
That's sick.
It's not just a cruise control, it is a fucking autopilot.
It can't be safe.
Why not?
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but I saw this. There was a video of the news the other day of the terrorists creating their next, or just their techniques, or the way that they're creating certain tactics of whatever, terrorizing. And what? And they came up with these self-driving cars that would drive into things, so it wouldn't even, you don't want to blow up the car, shoot the car, because it would, blow up anyway. And you don't know if there's no one inside of it. So that's like their tactic, using these self-driving cars to destruct.
Where did you see this?
On the news. I watched
They
it.
don't have that technology.
What?
They really have that technology.
And it showed how
Maybe
they
with a
make it.
remote.
It showed how they made it. It was behind. They got the video by mistake from this guy that they took it from, and it showed how they actually went behind the scenes and how he created. Like, they were showing the wheel and everything.
It's a brick on a gas pedal, I think.
They're ahead of us.
Push it in the right direction. Go.
Some Fast and Furious shit right there.
Google it. It's on there.
Google it. It's on there.
Come on, Jay.
Paul Walker's Ghost.
Step up your Googles.
Come on, Jay. Step up your Googles, Brittany says. That's fantastic.
We need a Google.
So I'm sorry. You were asking. I apologize for the tangent.
I forget what I was asking.
Like an hour ago or so.
It wasn't that long. We have not been doing this for an hour, so it couldn't
I'm
have been that long
exaggerating,
ago.
but...
Oh, exaggeration.
I don't even remember what my question was about.
Iceland.
It was about Iceland.
Oh, I was just asking about the values of the people. Did I ask one after that? No. I could just imagine it being way more simple and nicer to be around than
It is.
like New York City or...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Even the city is just enjoyable and nice. Yeah, peaceful. I mean, people actually... We went out Saturday night, and people go out there. The bars are open till 4:30 in the morning. And you can leave with beer bottles and beer.
Wait a second. So the bars were open until 4:30, but you couldn't get a slice of pizza after 6 o'clock?
Well, that was in Vic.
No, that was in Vic. In this city,
Vic.
oh, yeah, there was this place. Oh, gosh. They had these fries with mayo on it. It's this little sauce stuff that I had. Really good. Like 5 a.m. It was fine. It was the morning. It was breakfast at that point.
Is mayo pretty much a flavored mayo?
I don't know. Didn't ask. I figured it was part of their language.
I'm dead.
Like spice.
They're adorable.
What? The puffins?
If
You look
the
like a-
terrorists start using these vehicles, I am screwed because this car is adorable. I want it near me at all times.
Oh, it's so cute.
It's
Yeah.
like a cute version
They're
of
loading
the
up with
Volkswagen.
C4 and they're blowing you
Yeah,
up.
see? Lethal weapons.
Yeah.
The cars can be lethal weapons.
Okay, I'm
they
sorry,
are- yeah,
but no,
nice.
smart cars are not lethal weapons.
I don't think this is a smart car.
Maybe that's the
this thing
thing,
has
though.
a
They're
face
like-
on it.
It
It does. It's got eyes, a nose, and a mouth.
Oh no, I saw it. Yeah, it looks like
I wanna hang out
with it.
It looks like a VW bug and a smart car had a baby.
Yeah, it's
Looks
exactly
like
what it is.
The car that wiggles.
Put the
drives.
lashes on it. Oh, God. Yes.
That's the photo they chose to go with.
Let me see.
They could have chose any other photo but that.
I like that one.
I want this
It's a good
one.
angle.
So,
Get this.
what was your of all the stuff? And I mean, you did a lot of stuff in a short period of time where you were there in Iceland. What was the favorite thing that you did? What was the one thing that if someone were to go and they weren't able to, nor were they inclined to necessarily do all the research that you did, and they jumped on a plane because they've heard you say it's fairly cheap. They're like, fuck it, Brittany Decker said it's cheap. I'm going to fucking Iceland. And then they show up in Reykjavik and they're like, shit, what do I do?
Yeah. No, I have to say my favorite day, I can't narrow it down to one thing, but my favorite day was going horseback riding through the landscape. It was like a 2-hour ride. They go through the rivers and up the mountains and all throughout. We did that, and then that was the night we saw the Northern Lights. So those are my two favorite things. And the Blue Lagoon. You can't miss the Blue Lagoon. It's just, it's pretty touristy now, but it's I just have so many things I'd recommend. I mean, I narrowed it down to a lot of things. We also rented a car, which makes a big difference too. That's what allowed us to drive across the country and see the volcanoes and see the geysers and the waterfalls and all the beautiful. We stood in the middle. Sorry, I can't. You're asking me one question, and I can't stop talking about this. But we stood in the middle of two tectonic plates.
That's cool.
And that was very cool. It's like a bucket list thing right there. In the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the North American and the European plates. So obviously the volcanic activity, separated, and it's a divergent plate, so they move apart, and the land moves apart 1 to 18 millimeters every year. So the land is constantly moving apart. And we stood in the middle of the two pieces of the two tectonic plates, and the ground underneath, you could see the land in the middle, which is obviously it's been separating for a long time. It's all lava, so it's just lava that you're standing on, basically.
Did you not ever see the original Superman movie?
No, I don't.
You have to be really careful doing that because
Really?
Lois Lane she got trapped,
Really?
Yeah.
and Superman spun the world around to go and turn
reverse.
Yeah, he
back in
reversed
time. Yeah, reverse time and saved her. You don't have a Superman, Brittany Decker, and you're a reporter like Lois Lane, although you are a video reporter on news, not a Daily Planet written reporter, but you're a newswoman all the same. So you need to be really close when you're near tectonic plates.
I'll be careful next time.
Good.
Taking note.
You should. Nothing to play around with.
What's the most ridiculous news story you've ever either covered or been on site for?
Question. Oh, gosh.
Like, most ridiculous people, most ridiculous situation.
Where in your head you were going, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
there's so
Am I
many.
really doing this?
I'm trying to think of a specific example.
I mean, you're a news reporter in a pretty
Interesting
area. Very.
Anytime you get man on, I'll try to think of a specific example because that's a great question. I'm sure I have a ton of stories. But it's called MOS, Man on the Street interviews. Dumb, but you have to go up to random people and ask about issues that they probably have no idea what you're talking about. So you explain the issues. You want people's opinions. Sometimes people are more engaged instead of listening to a professional sit and talk with a suit and tie. So you want to hear the people how they feel about it, right? But sometimes people just say the craziest, whacked out things that you can never even imagine. I have to think of some specific examples. I'm sure I could think of something, but.
Did you see the guy with the Powerball?
Yeah, who said cocaine and hookers?
Cocaine and hookers. And he was so serious. He just looks at,
I saw that coming from a mile away. She was all in his
She
face.
asked for it, though.
Yeah, she was.
You can't really just go up to people. You kind of have to at least say, hey, I'm going to come up and interview you before. You don't really want to just naturally go up to somebody.
Kudos to him. That was a quick response, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he just rolled off his tongue.
Yeah,
rolled off his tongue.
Anyway.
Yeah, he's
Whether you want or not.
Yeah.
It's like, I was going to do that anyway, but if I won the Powerball, I'd do it tenfold.
That money just changes the quality or the quantity.
Yeah.
Definitely both.
Oh,
Definitely
gosh.
both.
I'm trying to think. I've done some cool stories, though. Fun and neat stories. I don't do all just hard, serious news, which breaks it up a little bit. Because, I sit on the anchor desk for 4 hours every day, which is fine, but the fires and the murders and the beatings and the in jail and the, courthouse dates, but...
You do interesting things at the Big E.
Yeah, so there was a segment I did called I Bet Brittany, which was a lot of fun. People would just basically bet me to do all these random weird things, and I would do them. I also got to do like skydiving and plane aerobatics, G-force, spinning around in a plane. People, I don't know. A lot of like interaction with people. What?
Was that in the Blue Angels? Did you fly in the Blue Angels?
No, it wasn't Blue Angels, but it was a guy. I think it was a guy at Westover.
Yeah.
That took me up in his tiny little plane. What you doing, Coach?
I was getting something.
Oh.
Way to let everyone know I wasn't around, Britt. Nice job.
Sorry.
Trying to be sneaky, but...
Thought I was supposed to be natural on here.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Being as authentic as I can.
Speed that, keeping it real.
Do you only cover Springfield, or do you cover Hartford, too?
It's Western Mass, so it's from Berkshire to Franklin County, Hampshire, and Hamden. Some parts of Connecticut do get our station, Enfield, some parts of Windsor. My family's from Bristol, Connecticut, and it's funny because at the Bristol Hospital, my uncle's there once in a while, and he'll get the channel. It's very random, but mostly Western Mass is our area. So yeah.
You got to think of one of these stories.
I got to. I promise I will. I'm sure I have a billion. I just can't. I shouldn't really call people out either, but I will if I could think of a good one.
Is this your first? is this the first market that you've worked in within the capacity of your job, as like this being your profession and all that?
Well, I started at a station in Connecticut for a year. I had a year contract. It ended up being like a year and 4 months. But it was a specialized job. It was like an interview. I interviewed with over 200 people and got that job. It was a contracted job for a year where I shot and edited a lot of commercials, was in a lot of commercials. I would do some reporting, some live things like high school football fan, at the high school football games, we would do a live broadcast. So that was my first job. And then I came back here, signed a very long contract here, which is almost over soon. So we'll see where I'll be next. Yeah.
Moving up.
She'll stay here.
We'll see. I do love Western Mass. I do. And I've been here because I went to school at Western New England in Springfield for college. So I've been in Western Mass for like 8 years now. So it's kind of my life. This is like my home.
Tell you what, I like it out here too. It's way different than where I'm from because I'm from south of Boston.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the life out here is just a little more slow paced, I guess you could say. Nothing is 5 minutes away like it is where I'm from.
Right.
And you kind of have to drive, for my, different things that I do. I'm driving through farms and woods, and it's awesome. It's way more low key. It's just a different lifestyle. It's
diverse too because you have the Northamptons, and even there's things around here to do, some bars and some, activity going on. But you also get the Amherst and South Hadley and that nice rural.
Yeah.
Life. So yeah, you get a little bit of everything. I wish there was more to do. I'm hoping with the casino coming that there will be some built-up hype, I guess. It's sad for me personally when I'll go and do my work sometimes downtown and sit there and see all the people our age, young adults, and even business professionals. Obviously, I'm ranking on you.
Brittany Decker taking shots.
Coach.
It's okay.
It's all right. I want to live past 28. But you see the people during the afternoon walking around and just, by 5 o'clock, everyone is out. Nobody wants to stick around and to do anything or go to happy hours or, I wish there was a group of, I wish there were places to go that people actually hung around for. So I'm hoping that Springfield will kind of get it together, which they're trying to do. And so it becomes more of a, social friendly area.
Yeah, an attractive place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about a casino in our last podcast.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We talked about that far. We were at a bingo hall, and we talked about the obesity rates in the country. Stefan talked about being in Disney World, and I talked about being in this bingo hall, and that there was like parking, almost like you walk in, you look to your right and your left, and there's like parking for scooters, so people can like park their scooter. And
well, it's terrifying.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
unreal.
We determined. Sarah and I determined that at least 50% of the people in that bingo hall had type 2 diabetes for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Disgusting.
Well, if you think about where you're, like Boston area or other places, people are active. They're walking around. They're doing active things all the time. And here, what's the motivation? I guess,
Yeah.
Sad.
It's winter.
It's winter.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
winter.
Activity rates out here are way different, and I feel like there's almost like a style thing that goes along with it. And this, the urban areas of Boston and stuff like that, everyone's got to have their new athletic clothes and they show it off, and everyone's going to yoga and doing all this stuff. And out here, it's hard to find almost. Yeah,
no, that's true.
All right, so this is kind of it's interesting. So I'm going to use this as a transition, but
oh dear.
No. This is something. Did you guys get the things that I sent you on Facebook?
Did. Yeah.
Did you get a chance to look at them or read them? I know you're.
Of course.
Lies.
No, yeah.
Okay.
I did.
So, here's the cool thing. If it seems like, anyways, there's suggested evidence that we've skipped an ice age. Human activity has led to this new geological epoch that potentially it's being bandied about by specialists within those scientific fields of calling it the Anthropocene, which they believe began the transition around the beginning of, or with the rise of the Industrial Revolution, and then became truly visible in the sedimentary layer around the 1950s.
Right.
And everything from nuclear tests, carbon fuels, everything. Well, so that's interesting in all itself. But now it seems like something we discussed last time, what we touched on briefly, which was what's commonly referred to as global warming. It's probably not the best term because it misleads people in some ways. So it's more climate change is probably the best way. But it seems like now that the second, third order effect is that we have had such an impact as a species in the last 150, almost 200 years, that we've changed the cycles of the planet. And you guys talking about Western Mass, one of the cool things is Western Mass, geographically speaking, is a direct result, and specifically this area, of the last ice age. So the Connecticut River Valley was one of the glacial depressions that was left in the Appalachians. Well, the Appalachians all the way up and down are much older than the Rockies. And they are the shape that they are, the size they are, the beauty that you see is a direct result of that. The rise of our species in the last 100,000 years as the dominant species on the planet is a result of that. So me personally, I'm kind of nerdy and geeky, so I find this shit interesting. What I'm interested in is what does that mean for the future of our species if we don't have to endure or be smart and be creative through another cooling period, which would lead into an ice age? Because I think a future ice age would be interesting all in of itself, but if we're not led by that challenge, a warming Earth poses very different challenges because a New York City no longer exists in a couple hundred years possibly. A Boston doesn't exist in a couple hundred years possibly. I mean, you see an entire shift in the coastlines, which we haven't seen before, other than the sea receding due to cooling and then going back due to warming. So I was interested in what you guys think about that, and if it's nothing, tell me to fuck off and we'll move on.
No.
I think it's going to be some Noah's Ark shit. Everyone's going to have to build some sort of boat.
Waterworld shit?
Yeah, Waterworld shit.
Thank you, Kevin Costner. Horrible movie, great idea.
I think it's very interesting. I think people are naive and stupid to say, you know, whatever you feel on global warming, not going into a debate of that at all. It is an issue. It is a better way to say climate change. It's proven there is global warming and there is these changes happening, and you could see in that sedimentary the layers that you could see the proof. I mean, it's not a question whether it's happening or not. It is happening. What did it say that we're on an axis or we're a certain angle that a ice age should?
Yeah.
It would be possible for it to happen now. So I think it'd be. I don't know. I do think that what we do and the way we have transformed the way that we live on this planet has no doubt made extreme changes to the way we're going to develop in the future. I don't know what that means or how we should handle it or, you know, but it is happening. And I don't know, like, say we don't have an ice age again for a long time. What is that going to mean? Is that bad that we don't? It's got to have some effect, right?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's part of the natural cycle. There's how long is it?
Yeah, it's a natural cycle. Yeah,
it's part of the natural cycle.
Every 50 to 100,000 years, I think.
Yeah, right? Throughout the Earth's cycle, it goes through warming and cooling periods, and it has an impact both upon speciation. It has an impact on the geology, what you look at the planet. It's just part of the cycle of the planet. I guess it kind of sounds weird. It's like, I guess, an analogy, and I don't know if anyone listens to this and they're super up on this stuff and they take offense to it. Fuck you, I'm an idiot. But if it's like taking away, so we'll call it Mother Earth. Mm-hmm. Maybe the ice age is her menstruation cycle. So if you take that away from a woman, what are the second and third order effects? What are the health effects on a woman if you remove it? And I'm just using it as an analogy.
No, that's actually a great.
So the question becomes is, we don't actually know.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the geological record that way.
Yeah.
We just know that it is part of the natural cycle as far as the Earth's been populated by species and life, that there's been cooling periods and kind of a culling of life, which inevitably leads to the evolution of life into new life forms. So if the dinosaurs hadn't died out, there wouldn't have been the rise of the mammals and stuff like that. So I wonder how that does affect speciation on the Earth.
But I think it's so... How much does it take of what we do and the way we live?
Sure.
And some people that are against some of these theories of what we do causing something like postponing or canceling, I guess, an ice age. But how much does it take for
I say you just canceled this
I
year.
just canceled.
Sorry, folks.
Sorry.
Done.
next time.
Cancel it. We
Yeah,
don't
we're
want you
nice
anymore.
here.
Yeah, but how much does it actually take? Or what we doing on a daily basis by little things? Okay, if we don't drive cars, it's not realistic. We're still going to be, we're still going to be doing it. But it's what we're doing. I mean, so drastic that we're affecting something so huge.
Well, I think the problem we as a species have is we look at everything in very short time frames. Mm-hmm. We, as an animal, have trouble planning and projecting beyond, say, about a week. We don't think about what I do today, how it'll affect tomorrow, and how tomorrow will affect next week, how it'll affect the next month. So we live very much in the now, just as a species, as an animal. So it's not the term we, in the sense that you're using it. I think most people think of me. And they don't think of the cumulative effect. We're at 7 billion people on this earth right now. We're almost 8 billion, I think, right? Is it almost 8 billion?
Google.
Jay,
Google.
is it
Jay?
almost 8 billion?
Jay?
I think we're
Jay?
just about to surpass 8 billion people.
Yeah.
Whereas before the beginning of the 20th century, there was less than 1 billion, I believe. So this rate of expansion as a species.
108 billion.
Huh?
108 billion.
No.
No.
That's what it says.
No,
that's wrong.
It's not 108 billion.
7.4 billion.
There you go, 7.4 billion. So, all right.
See what this is.
So I'm doing pretty well. I'm slowly
pretty
but
well,
surely
yeah.
I'm getting back credibility. So I think that people kind of, like you said, they get lost in this idea that, well, what can I do it's not just you driving a car.
Yeah.
Because there's, I think, more than 300 million cars in America alone in the United States. So that means there's more cars than actually people who are of age to drive. Right? When you think about that. So it's really about cumulative effect. And humans have a real hard problem thinking about themselves as being part of a larger species. And we think of ourselves as being, well, we're friends. But how many degrees of separation are there between you and me and Barack Obama? And that's our president, or even like the president of China. So people need to start thinking in a collective sense.
Or even, 100, no one cares. Okay, 100 years down the road, I'm not going to be here.
Exactly, but that collective sense, and then that collective sense in generations is what matters. So people need to expand how and I don't know how we do that, but there has to be a conversation, and not just about the hard science, which is really beyond what most people can understand. And then political people are like, oh, well, they don't even agree, and they just read little snippets of email back and forth between really, really smart people who are specialists who are arguing about nuance, but they don't necessarily argue that global warming is happening. They're like, yeah, it's happening. They're almost all in agreement on that. And what they're disagreeing on is the nuances of causes. And people with political agendas are saying they don't even agree. And they're speaking to a scientifically illiterate and ignorant populace who buy into it and then pass it off that it doesn't matter. But somehow we have to get everyone to understand that we're all in this together, future generations included. And it's not necessarily your children or even your grandchildren, but quite possibly your grandchildren's grandchildren. And you have to think about that because they are your heritage. They're your lineage. That's what you're leaving it for. And if we continue to grow in numbers, our impact, if we don't change our ways, gets exponentially worse. So we've met and passed the thresholds in parts per million or whatever in the atmosphere at a quicker rate than what we foresaw. It's like the acceleration of technology is a good parallel to it. Technology is accelerating at a faster rate, compound-wise, than we really can kind of comprehend. And it's continuing to get better. Well, what we're doing is continuing to get worse. And it'll only increase at a more rapid exponential rate because there's more of us and more people are coming into the developed world. So really what I'm saying is we need to just smash everything and not let anyone else develop.
Well, I don't know about that. I kind of think people aren't going to be around forever anyway. Like, how long is? I hate even talking about this. I'm not scared of a lot, but if I talk about like black holes or like death of the universe, I get really freaked out. But realistically, though,
Be here for it.
Exactly. How long are people really going to be around? We've been around for such a minute period of time compared to the Earth's existence that it's like, what do we really matter? Oh my God, I can't. I can't talk about this. It freaks me out. It really does.
Well,
let's change
go
the
ahead,
subject.
Pat.
Pat,
No,
please.
this is actually interesting. Go ahead, Pat.
I hate
Well,
this. It creeps me
I
out.
don't know. I don't think we do need to think about what we do now and how it's going to affect generations way down the road. But what really bothers me is that you touched on these politicians, but none of them even. I watched the Republican debate on Thursday night.
Yeah.
None of them even talk about it at all. It's all about abortion. It's about each other's poll rates, this and that, and then.
And now whether or not Cruz is actually a legitimate American citizen, the birther debate.
None of them give a single shit about something that actually matters, which is the life of the planet that we live on. Like, none of them. And if you look on things that they care about, if you go online and say, which candidate should I vote for based on my ideals, and you click off that you think environmental protection is important to you, almost all of them won't match up with you because none of them give any shits about it.
Because Mexico is going to build their own wall.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous shit. I don't want to get into a too heated debate about it, but...
Well, no, we don't have to get into the politics of it, but you said something interesting. So I think possibly you could, and there's reason that it's not illogical to think, well, what does it all matter then? But there's also a good possibility that because we don't know, it's worth trying to perpetuate our existence as long as possible.
But I also feel, go.
So, go. I'm getting the green light here. So, we don't know what lies ahead tomorrow, let alone 1,000, 10,000 years from now. Yes, we've only been in place for a small period of time in a universal sense. Even the Earth is young when you compare it to the universe. The universe is only a teenager based upon our best measurements. And our understanding of the universe, our understanding of physics and quantum physics and how the universe exists and what it does as in its existence is getting better as the tools to understand it are. But what if our emergence in the universe is we're kind of self-determinate? So if we're careful and we make the right choices, there's nothing saying that we can't continue on as long as the universe does. Yeah. If we master our planet, and to some degree we've mastered how to, we can't control the weather, but we've learned how to bulwark up against it. The fact that New Orleans survived and we could rebuild after something like Katrina, which is a Cat 5 gigantic storm, 100 years ago, it would have wiped it out of existence. We can not only survive that, but we can rebuild and it doesn't disrupt globally our global community.
You got to think, you're thinking small, short term too. Think about how the Big Bang Theory, how people think that we came into existence in the beginning. That happened once. It's going to happen again. If we're stupid to think that we're not going to just explode. And one more thing, this whole thing about keeping going on a great pace, I agree with you, but I think that people are trying to be more green and more energy efficient. And I think that's the direction in mentality. Even, it sounds stupid, but even people are thinking cleaner in the way they eat and the way their actions are. And it's looked upon as a positive thing if you take the steps to do that. So I think we're going in a good direction.
People have the right ideas, but there's always someone behind it who's fucking it up somehow. Because people would be like, oh, I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to eat, shit from the earth because the earth gives me this and I'm going to give it back to the earth, and I'm going to eat apples and vegetables, and I'm going to buy produce from my local supermarket where, I buy an avocado that comes from fucking Mexico and figs that come from fucking India. It's like, no, that's not green at all. Yes, you're eating healthier, but... Or like grass-fed beef from Ireland. That beef had to fucking fly here or get here by a boat and use all those resources. Like, if we really want to be healthier as a culture and a civilization, we have to stop adding food miles to all of our food. We have to live in small communities and regions where the farms in those regions supply that region and they eat shit that will grow in that region. And if they want to do trade, it has to be on smaller commodities rather than people buying all these fucking avocados from wicked far away.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all this technology, but we can't manufacture a greenhouse to grow an avocado in
we can.
Massachusetts.
It's not profitable.
Yeah.
It's a matter of market.
But if we changed it around so that it was profitable, that would be the most ideal situation.
But people are always looking for the cheap ways to do
Yes,
things.
that's not
So we need to
their
burn down
fault.
Walmart.
Yeah, we need to get rid of all those big fucking corporations.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And Brittany Decker said, "Yeah," really quietly under her breath. So there you have it, folks. Brittany Decker wants to lead the charge to put Walmart out of business.
But talking on a big scale,
I did not say that.
talking
Just
on a big
joking,
scale, that's
Walmart.
what needs to happen, though. It's great that everyone's trying to be green and all this shit, but it doesn't matter. And then things don't get recycled the way they should. Oftentimes, like water bottles and stuff like that. It's like you can get a reusable bag from Whole Foods and it says, "Oh, I used to be a water bottle, and now I'm a shopping bag." But, they're also recycling things into other products that don't last forever as well.
There's a lot of initiative now going on in Amherst and all those towns up there. Kind of what you're mentioning. There's styrofoam bans now.
Mm-hmm.
Right in Northampton, they just passed the plastic bag ban. So I think, they have to be going in the right direction of using it in an efficient way to.
Yeah.
Look at Jay's face back there, like bunch of hippie crunchies.
All right, so here's my argument with that.
job.
You can call everyone over there a bunch of hippie, crunchy, smelly people, but
I never said
all those.
smelly.
Well, I'm just adding this for effect, but go somewhere where people are using plastic bags and putting all that shit in their bodies. Like, have fun with your cancer. See you later.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing, and part of me fully agrees with you. But I think that I think we've moved in the direction of a global market and global economy. And I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think it's actually different. I don't think it's good or bad. I think it depends on how it's used and the forces that act upon it. Mm-hmm. I think as we explore renewable energies, because I agree with you completely on the carbon footprint of food, but if you can remove the carbon footprint out of the equation, and you're using renewables, you're using, we'll say, hydrogen as a source of power, or if electric power and charging and various ways of charging along the way becomes more easily implemented and utilized, I think then that's actually the better equation. I think that's where Elon Musk is trying to go with the things he's trying to do with Tesla Motors and the in-house battery, and trying to tap into multiple renewable sources. And because I think if we move into that local sense, like you were talking about, when we went vertical with farming, now you can have vertical farms. You can convert a lot of land back to grazings, to ruminant land, like what Leah Keith talks about. Yep. So if you do these things, what you allow for is cities and towns and anyone who has these, or wherever they're at, you can vie for different markets. And it's through that use of the free market you can actually leverage higher quality of living in all parts of the world. I think that it's a multi-pronged attack. But I don't think we can go back. That's one thing I do think. I've thought more on it, and I think we're never going to be able to go back to being truly local in the sense that we think. Especially with your generation, the millennials, as they're spoken, they are more globally minded. Interestingly enough, they have friends in India and in London, but they don't know the fucking kid down the street. So the world has gotten smaller. It's become local globally, but it's become distant locally, if that makes any sense to you. Which is really an odd paradigm shift. And I don't think we can go away from that. Communications technology is only going to get better and more rapid. We're only going to increase bandwidth and the ability to communicate, the speed with which we communicate. Look, if you can get the internet, or even, I don't fucking know, you can get porn in North fucking Korea, the rest of the world is on track to go to a place that we can't even really foresee. Yeah. We only have a glimpse of. The internet is only really in its infancy. Yeah. Even doing this, the ability to have a podcast is something that was controlled 10 years ago by large corporations. And you had to have a radio station. You had to have bandwidth on the radio station. You had to be approved by the FCC. Now we can sit down, have a conversation through this USB thing into my fucking computer. We can tell the world to fuck right off if we want. We can call for a revolution, and we can do whatever the fuck we want, say whatever we want.
It's kind of funny you say that.
We can load it into fucking iTunes, and people can download it, listen to it, and be like, fuck yeah, fuck the world. Brittany Decker's leading the charge against Walmart. Fuck
I did not say that, Coach. I'm all for Walmart. All for Walmart.
Losing sponsor.
It's funny you say that, though, because I've had conversations with my coworkers about this, and it's kind of scary for someone like us in that profession that's, I hate to say, almost a dying profession. It's not a dying profession. People will still, I think, use their news outlets. People are victims of routine. They watch the news in the morning. They have their evening newscast. But there's so many other media outlets now, whether it's the social media and the internet, that people can get their information that they want and what they want to hear about right now. You can go. I go live on Facebook. I get you can get thousands of viewers by Facebook. Why do people need to turn on the TV? Why do people need to?
And people don't even want TV anymore because it costs so much money.
Exactly.
You want to know why I would say why, though?
They?
I would say why because of this. If you go live on Facebook with a live feed, you're a journalist. At least you understand what journalism is and how to vet, how to craft, because there is a crafting of the story, and it's supposed to be unbiased. I'm terrified by crowdsourcing of news because people are fucking stupid. And the average person is a fucking idiot. And they will just, for instance, take any numerous horrible incidents that have happened over the past 2 years when it comes to the perception of police brutality. And it's not to say police brutality doesn't exist, but when you only show through like Facebook snippets from a cell phone from someone on the sideline who's more of an instigator, and it's like, oh, that's bullshit. Number one, they weren't there for the whole thing. They just, oh, hey, that cop's roughing that guy up. I'm going to walk up and I'm going to film it, and I'm going to get 1 million fucking views.
They might have been there for the whole thing, or they just started filming once, you know.
Or they put on
the
Facebook
action.
the stuff they wanted you to see.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everybody's a reporter now, right?
Yeah, everyone's a reporter, everyone's an editor, and there's no ethics. There's no code. And that's what kind of, and I agree with you that but that's what I'm afraid of. So even though I am excited about this new era, there's certain aspects of it, certain aspects of the old world that I'm terrified of. I am terrified of a world without the New York Times, without, the LA Times, and without print media, because there's a certain level of investigative journalism that took time and energy and risk. Like, there's not going to be another fucking Bob Woodward. And without Bob Woodward, you don't have Watergate. And this is a guy who put himself at great risk, and it kept democracy in check.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary to me.
Here's the really scary thing.
Oh, the really scary thing. If that wasn't fucking scary enough.
Without any print media or any sort of actual documentation, we put everything on, on fake files, on USBs and on screens.
You're right.
What happens when an asteroid hits a certain part of the world? What happens when we hit an ice age and a new generation comes through? There's no documentation of how we fucking lived.
Actually, that's not true.
How?
Okay. You want to hear the coolest thing?
The cloud?
No, not the cloud.
The cloud.
No,
Stefan, just so you know, the cloud is made up.
No.
It's not an actual cloud.
It's not. The cloud exists. The cloud. Actually, that's not true. It depends on the spectrum of light in which you see. Because there's a constant stream, and if you could see the radio waves and see the light waves and stuff like that on which that information is transferred, there's technically a real cloud there. And if you look at something along the lines of the Matrix, if everything's clustered in that sense, ones and zeros and green, even within, say, a server, technically there is a cloud there. You're thinking, oh, it's philosophical. Nope, that's fucking legit, and people just don't think like that. And that's what makes me brilliant, Brady Decker, and why I'm always right. But this is the cool thing, based upon what you said. I didn't know this until recently. So you've heard of the burning of the library at Alexandria?
Yeah.
That was like this huge loss of information, right? It was Christian terrorists that did that, by the way, at the time. But there is a new library in Alexandria, And it is a bank of servers that once a day, it downloads the entire body of information on the internet. It backs up the internet.
Yeah, but does it put it into actual physical
Where is it?
documentation?
Is it printed out somewhere?
Well, here's the thing. So it's inside of a hermetically sealed room. Like no, seriously. So it's designed to suffer cataclysms and stuff like that. And what it does is it turns on, it's all automated, turns on, hooks into the internet, boom, does a snapshot every 24 hours of everything that's on the internet. It updates. And it's, excuse me, I don't know how, I just know this damn thing exists. Jay, you can Google it.
Where does it go?
Better take those pictures down, Jay.
It becomes a really, now what it becomes is a self-contained file. Now, basically those servers become like a giant flash drive.
Right.
And it's a snapshot of the entirety of human knowledge and information at any one 24-hour period. And that's fucking amazing. And I know what you're thinking, yeah, but where's the hard copy? Well, if this building were to get destroyed, it wouldn't matter what fucking form that information was in.
You're right.
It's going to get destroyed along with it. And there's no way to contain that amount of information in such a small space other than digitally. Now, and I think we talked about this. If someone were to find us an alien race or whatever, how would they figure out how to unload this? I think most likely they probably have the technology. If they were able to get here from wherever they did, they're going to be able to understand that. And probably they'd be able to decode that because it's based upon ones and zeros. Easier than trying to decipher our language if they didn't have anything to go with. We wouldn't have been able to decipher hieroglyphics if it weren't for obelisks, which was in ancient Greece. So we needed a couple degrees of connection to a language that we knew in order to decipher a language that was of our own making. Ones and zeros are different. So the idea is mathematics is a universal language, or truly universal, not just global, but universal language. And that's what the Voyager probe was sent out with. It was mostly based upon, have you ever looked, do you know what the Voyager probe is? Okay, do you know?
Tell you.
Mars?
Huh? No, so.
You're generational.
Yeah. It's
generational gap here. Yeah.
So the Voyager probe is man's first foray outside of our own known planetary system and possibly galaxy. So the Voyager probe was launched in 1976, the year of my birth. And on it, there is a golden record. And that record has hello in like every known English language or something like that. But it also contains other noises and other information that is, at that time, was kind of a snapshot of humanity. On that golden record is also a chart based upon math that shows where it originated from. And what it is our attempt to contact other life. Here's the cool thing. So it used a gravitational whip around each planet as it went towards the edge of our planet, towards the edge of our solar system. And then I think, so once it shut down, it was given a quiet beacon. And if it was just a beep letting us know it was there. And then as it left our solar system is when Carl Sagan had NASA could still communicate. They communicated information for it, and it took a shot of Earth. And if you ever hear, or if you've ever listened to that pale blue dot thing that I put up on my Facebook, it shows this little dot in this ray of sunshine, and there's a circle around it, and that's Earth. Taken from the edge of our solar system, right before it left. And that probe is the infinite record of our species. As long as it doesn't hit space debris or get destroyed, that probe will continue on its trajectory until it either lands somewhere or, relative to a human life for infinity. But that's all of ours heritage. That's us going on for eternity. And I think that that's both musical and magical, but the idea behind this disc and how they laid out where we were was based on mathematics. Simplest of forms. Any species that could pick that up would be able to look at it and say, oh, here's basic math. This is like, for them, be like 3 + 1 = 4. So let's go to this place. So it's hey, we're here. We existed. If you find this is where we are. Bring it home.
Taking this back to life a little bit. Real life. Here in Springfield, Mass. No, but if you think about Facebook and how common Facebook is now, and I know for me, I take a lot of pictures and I like to document things that I do. I don't have a printed copy of things that I do. Everything is literally, I look back at what I did 5 years ago today based on what I use on online. Facebook's not going to be around forever. Yeah. Something like that, people just think in the here and then in the now. And
I'd just like the record to show that I disagree with Brittany Decker there, Mark Zuckerberg. I think you're going to be around forever. If you want to kick out a couple of billion to people, I want you to know that I'm on your side. Obviously, Brittany Decker's more on the side of Walmart.
Man, I got your back.
Zuck, I'm with you, bro.
Yeah.
Sponsor.
Just saying, Facebook could use a little more visibility. It's like you guys are kind of lagging in membership. So
Yeah.
this is going to be a pretty popular podcast there, Mark. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe it'll pick us up.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, if Facebook becomes the next MySpace, it's like, oh, all those pictures are gone.
Everything. I mean,
do you back it up on hard drive?
I don't. I mean, I'd say most everything is not backed up on my hard drive. All my Miss America pictures, the only place I have them is on Facebook.
Really?
I should really get on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but that's my whole point. That's something I'd like to show my kids someday, and I don't have them backed up. Crazy.
You can send it right to Walgreens.
Yeah, I could figure that out.
I have,
but I'm just, yeah.
I have my entire tour in Afghanistan backed up on a hard drive.
Do you?
Most of it's not online.
Right.
It's actually on about 2 or 3 different hard drives now.
Is it?
Yep. And that was all taken on digital camera. This is 06, 07, so no one was bringing their cell phones with them and stuff like that. And people were still buying like digital cameras and stuff. But now, I mean, the camera on your phone is...
Yeah.
It's better than the...
Everything. It's
It's insane.
unbelievable. I mean, I used to have, those disposable cameras with the roll film and everything. And used
those things?
Yeah. I don't even know if you can still...
cameras?
Or whatever, the film and the camera. I used to get them developed all the time. I used to always love taking pictures. And I remember, you don't even hear about, can you even do that right?
Polaroid cameras are coming back. Polaroid,
people like Polaroids.
Cameras.
Really?
They're coming
Polaroids
back.
are cool, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are into the Polaroids.
Oh, you mean the cartridge that you load and you take the shot and you Polaroid it?
Like immediately.
Shake it like a
Polaroid.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
Yeah.
Why do you have one?
Because I got it for Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Why not?
It's cool, except then you can't make multiple copies unless you take 2 of the same pictures.
Yeah, so inconvenient.
And you have like one filter. You can't go on Instagram and pick your filter.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh, I'm both amazed. I mean, that's
The life.
talking about the death of journalism. I mean, photography. Forget about it. I mean, my father was a commercial photographer growing up, and it's an art form. And I grew up in dark rooms, watching him develop.
That's true. That's
And
sad.
my father's 77, going to be 78. He could still develop film. I mean, if you asked my dad, if you gave him a roll of film and he had a room and he could get his hands on the chemicals, he could do development. He could do negatives for you. And he could underexposure and overexposure. He could do all kinds of things to do what you wanted done with this picture. Not to mention my dad learned filters and all that stuff. So my dad would use film cameras and everything he could do was amazing. But you know what? You can go on your phone.
Instagram.
You can use Instagram filters you want. And now people are instant photographers who have no ability whatsoever. And I don't know, I'm sure the statistics are out there, but I bet you because of that, enrollment in photography and all that's going down. And what you're going to see is you can't be a fashion photographer unless you've been classically trained. You can't do like what you do with Paul today unless you have an understand. Like there's a threshold that requires true trade training in order to do stuff. And I would say even the sound quality of this is because of Jay. We fumbled through. It wasn't bad. This is probably going to come out sounding better because Jay knows the technical side of it, the vocational skill. But all this technology is fantastic, but I fear that we're losing vocational skills. And that's terrifying to me. How do we offset that? How do we prevent that from happening? And I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can offset the onslaught of technology.
Put it back in high school. make it an option to have shop options again. I mean,
That's what my dad works at a shop, and he's been saying for a long time, everyone is so focused on going to college and getting a degree and not learning that hands-on ability, experience, skill right away. So even if you go to college, you end up working in a shop. He does engineering on a daily basis, but the hands-on, working how to make parts and making sure the quality is right, not relying on a machine to do it right. And our generation does not know that or understand that at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that works two ways, for a career and for living in your own house. If you don't have these skills, go to school all day, you can learn about history all you want.
But you're not
if you don't know how to put a new tire on your car and you're relying on someone else all the time,
It's true.
You're screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, vocational, but there's something to that, to both that point. I guess kind of the counter to that is, and I understand this, and this is has been the counter argument to it that's been winning, is that if you give those kids those skills, they're going to be behind their peers, is kind of the idea, because that's where the world is going. So if you don't prepare them for the emerging world, they're going to be left behind. And what you've prepared them for is not going to exist. That's the counter. I don't necessarily agree with it, but to some extent I do. But it's also been a shift of our economy away from being a manufacturing economy to a service economy. And those skills are less needed in a service type economy versus a vocationally based production type of economy. And that bothers me. I think that possibly that might be something that, like Rogue and whatnot, could be turning around and bring us back to being a manufacturing type of economy, which would be beneficial. And if we move back into being a manufacturing type of economy, then there is use and a place for those vocational skills. But I also think that there's possibly emerging vocational type skills that no one's paying attention to, and they're not trying to be creative on the educational side. And take journalism, for instance. I would say that it's more like a vocational type of skill, especially on the cameraman side of it and all that. Instead, it all gets rolled up into collegiate type things.
What I think is, I'm so impressed. I do these segments every Friday where I go to a high school. It's called Honor Roll Live. Basically just focusing on what schools do inside their school building that you would never know about. But vocational schools are just the best schools. And looking back, I wish I did go to vocational schools. A lot of them have the green screens and all the the editing software and the cameras, and they're learning that hands-on experience. So after high school, they're certified. They're ready to go out in the working world. And regardless if they use that skill or not, they're able to have that with them their entire lives, to have a fallback or to be versatile in whatever they decide to do.
I went to one for 2 years.
I think the world of them. I think every student should go to a vocational school.
Yeah.
You went to high, though, right?
I went to Chicopee High, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you get into the AV side of it? Because that was more something that Comp had, because Comp was a vocational school.
Comp and High shared it at the same time, so...
You have to talk in the mic.
No, you don't. Yeah, you can be more than 6 inches away, unlike what Pat
Right
wanted to
there.
say earlier.
Like my test.
Trust me, it's... Yeah.
It's picking him up.
It's picking me up.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Chicopee High, and Chicopee High bussed us over. They actually literally took us in a bus, and it was 2 periods a day.
Oh, was it?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So 2 periods a day, and then I went to Stick. I went to Worcester State, not to speak poorly of them, but they have no idea what they're doing over there, at least back then. I know they do now because I designed and built their studio, so...
Cool.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's just funny how schools grow and everything changes. I put these in middle schools.
That's
shit.
That's awesome.
I think that Voc schools were actually looked down upon before. I know in my town anyway, a shop school or a vocational school was looked down upon as a place where the troubled kids go if you have nowhere else to go or you can't get the grades or whatever. But I think that now, around here anyway, it's looked upon. It's hard to get in. You can't get into Putnam, which is high school in Springfield. There's a waiting list miles long to get in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's looked upon as a great thing.
What's going to happen to invention if all this shit goes down the tubes? You know what I mean? Like, if no one cares about shops, no one cares about craft, no one cares about crafting anymore.
I think people care about invention because there's profit in it now, and people want to patent things and be innovative because, but it's hard. you think about, okay, what else can you possibly patent? There's so much now, but, like what you were saying, internet is still in its infancy. I mean, think about what we had. People, I think, are more innovative now than ever.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess my comment was more towards the craft, but actually kind of...
Yeah.
I'm changing my comment, actually, because I'm just switching sides on myself here. Because you can go on YouTube and literally do anything you want. You can be like, all right, I have this idea. I know that I need to do this in order to get it done. I don't know how to do that. Google it, YouTube it. All right, I need these parts. This guy already did something similar to it. Boom.
That's how this setup came to be.
This is how this podcast came.
So actually, this setup is twofold. When we first had the conversation, I had talked to Jay a little bit about it. He made recommendations. And then I try not to be a bother to people. And even though Jay's pretty fantastic and doesn't ever consider, I don't believe I could be making a leap. I don't think Jay's ever seen me as bothersome. I've done my best not to be bothersome to him, so I went ahead and took what he had told me, and then I started doing some research, and I used YouTube along with the interwebs to research podcasting, and then to research what was the better quality stuff out there, and what to kind of look at and what to pick up. So that's where this kind of came from. And even the video technology setup that I did was along the same lines. I used YouTube. So yeah, there is something to that. But I think what you were talking about, and I do agree with this, is less of the classically trained, is what I would say, when you say inventors or inventing. And I think more along the lines of like tinkering. But a lot of inventors classically didn't go through college educations and stuff like that. They went to vocational schools. They figured out how to work with their hands and develop their mechanical mind. And they just started tinkering in their garage. There's a great story out there of this kid who was a genius, legit genius. And this happened back in the early 90s. So this kid got his Boy Scout badge in radiological something, basically fucking nuclear physics.
They do that in Boy Scouts?
Yeah, I swear to God. So this kid decides, this kid's definitely on the spectrum, right? He decides he wants to build a nuclear reactor in his mom's shed. This is the early 90s. This is before the internet. So he starts collecting anything and everything that has any type of radioactive material in it. Clocks, ordering stuff from mail order parts, and he starts collecting his nuclear material. Gets it all together, and he successfully fires up a nuclear reactor in his mom's shed. Seriously. Gets snatched up by the FBI. They're like, holy fucking shit. Illegal. No, not legal in all kinds of ways. He ends up getting snatched up by the FBI. He wasn't even 18 yet. This kid, he was like 15 years old at the time that he did this, and it took over a couple of years. And I use as an example that it was kind of exposure through non-traditional but still institutional type of educational programs that he kind of found this interest. And it was different than the regular path, yet he had a mechanical mind. Brilliant, obviously, to be able to work on the equations, but he also liked to do it with his hands. So it wasn't just the mathematics, the chalkboard shit. He wanted to get his hands involved. And if you have disdain to look down upon the vocational aspect, you might not realize that it's through the hands, it's through the mechanical works that some people's true intellect comes out. Yeah. And they have no interest in just sitting in class and doing numbers. What they want to do is they want to do the numbers while they're actually physically doing it. And they're probably processing at rates you can't fully understand. And I think that type of tinkerer, that type of inventor,
but that's why
potentially you could lose.
Yeah. And
that's sad and scary to me.
I feel like that's part of our development as a species as well. I mean, that's how tools came about. That's how weapons came about. I mean,
weapons are tools, bro.
Well, for those for those people that don't know, weapons are tools.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of a downfall now with colleges and with schools. Like, you're reading from a book, you're taking notes, you're listening to a lecture, but you're not putting two and two together. Teacher. Now, I'm not saying everyone, but that's where teachers and educators need to draw the connection.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you, I get so frustrated in college because I'm still a student, and I can tell you, no one's reading fucking books anymore. No one's even giving a single shit. It's just about the diploma that they get at the end of it.
And bona fides.
Oh my god, the amount of online shopping I see in class is disturbing to me.
Really?
And these are master level classes, not undergrad.
Wow, that's surprising.
Not paying attention to the professor at all. I realized, and Sarah has a similar story. We won't make her talk, but because she doesn't want to.
You can talk. Come on, Sarah.
The teachers that I'm in class with, they'll make eye contact with me a lot, and I didn't realize this until we had talked about it, but it's because I put my MacBook down, I have my notebook open, making eye contact with her, she's, him or her. And everyone else, if you look around, is on Facebook, on some clothing website, some, on ESPN, that's another big one.
Why is it allowed?
I don't know. But none of them are even focused on what they're doing. And again, this is master level. This isn't like a general education class. This is mastering skills to be a professional in a certain field, a very specific field.
People don't care. You're not learning. When you're sitting there reading statistics in a book and I sit there, I'm in school for meteorology. I'm sitting there, I'm listening to language sometimes that sounds like a different language, and until they draw any kind of correlation or connection, or until I sit down to figure it out myself, whether it's Googling a million different websites to put everything together, it makes no sense to me. When it's in class, it's easier to get bored and be on Facebook and to get distracted.
Because it's also not engaging. My argument goes both ways, because we have these professors. You're paying so much money to sit through hour-long courses all day long where people just read information to you from a PowerPoint. There's no actual working on shit. And the classes that I remember the most are the classes where no PowerPoint was used, and I had to write down the notes the whole time in class, and there would be a quiz possibly every single day that you show up to class, so you have to review the information.
Right.
Or classes where you work together with other students, and that just feels more natural. Yeah, it's engaging. But reading off these PowerPoints is boring. But yeah, I mean,
especially those huge colleges and universities that have huge lecture halls where you just sit there with 200 other students. I was lucky I went to a small school, but a lot of people go to, I say a lot, but bigger universities.
Well, no, so I know what you're going to say. So I went to, when I got out of the Marine Corps and started going to school, I went to HCC originally. So I went to a community college to make that transition back, because I had spent 4 years learning how to be an infantryman and not how to be academically capable. And I was always a good student in high school. I tested well. I participated in class. I just never did homework. And when I was in school, that affected your grade. Yeah. So I would end up, it looked like, when you go back and look at my report cards, it looks like I'm a BC student, even though my actual GPA was probably closer to that of a 4.0 if I didn't get penalized for no homework. And I used to drive my teachers absolutely batshit crazy, because they're like,
"You're so smart."
Like you have good grades, but I have to take away from you, so it's not good. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to college. What do I care? As long as we have these conversations, and I know that I'm taking in the material and I'm absorbing it, and I'm understanding it, I don't really care about your grade system. I'm going to graduate. That's cool. Fine. I'll move on in life. I'm more interested in the process. So I get to HCC. That's all small class driven. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interaction. I enjoyed the debate and being a little more intimate. And then I transitioned up to UMass. I went to UMass Amherst, and I fucking love UMass to this day. And when I first got there, I had to take some core classes. Not all of because when I went up there, I decided to go there for exercise science and nutrition as a double major. So I got in my associate's degree in criminal justice. So as far as carrying over, a lot of it carried over into basics, but there was some core class I still had to take. So I had to take a couple of classes in these large lecture halls, one of which was an introduction to philosophy. And I loved that class. I loved it. That, of all classes I had throughout my collegiate career, that's probably the class that had the largest impact on me, and continues to this day. It led me down a path of intellectual exploration that I'd never even thought was available to me or even knew it was. And at the end of the course, I walked up to the professor and I thanked him for a semester-long mindfuck. And I said that exactly. And he laughed and he goes, I'm glad you got it. He goes, you get it. You understood. He goes, I wish more did. Now, I was older at the time. I was 27, and most of the kids in there were 18 or 19 years old. But this was before the internet and smartphones and shit like that. But I never took notes in there. But there was actually in that class, because there was such a big number of people, we actually had some really good discussions. That's true. And really good debates. And the kind of cool thing is in a big lecture hall like that is, guess what? You have to yell. You have to project your voice. If some knucklehead in the back is making an argument and you're going to counter argument, you got to turn around and be like, obviously a little more tactfully, but essentially like, you're a fucking idiot and here's why. And you get to have this discussion.
Who's class favorite?
No. You get to have this discussion with 200 or 300 people.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of cool because when the more engaged you are, the more people are engaged. And it becomes more interesting and more heated and stuff like that. So it was cool, although I do agree, like, fucking attendance doesn't matter.
How many kids don't give a shit?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're sitting there just on their phones, shopping online. They don't.
Or they're just
I'd say 90%. Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, now, I mean, back then there was maybe, you might see 2 or 3 laptops. Maybe.
Right.
It wasn't that many. Yeah, this was spring of 2002. So this was spring semester 2002.
Did you write a lot of notes?
I didn't. No. The girl next to me was amazing. She would look straight ahead and write, like she was almost like she was dictating. And her notes were perfect. Right. Like I looked over one day, you would think that they would be all over the place. She would look at the professor the entire time and just go. She was like a typewriter. She knew right when the page ended, and she would come right back to the ruler, the red line, and go. And she was punctuation and everything. On the line, perfectly legible.
Shit takes practice.
I'd never seen a skill like that. I'd never seen anything like that before. Because I looked over and I was like,
mine sinks down.
I asked her, I was like, how the fuck do you do that? That's amazing. She goes, I don't know. I have to take notes, but I have to pay attention. So I just developed it. And it was like something she had developed in high school even. It was just the freakiest fucking thing. She wasn't human. She was a robot from the future.
Definitely. My best moment in college as far as note taking is I took notes when I was asleep.
That's impressive.
Really good.
Yeah. They weren't really legible at all, but
you did it.
They said something. I was listening still and writing. But my eyes were closed and I was sleeping.
Yeah. But no, I never took notes. I'm not a note taker.
No.
I engage and I listen and I'm able to retain most of it.
One of my professors now is one of my best friends, and I don't keep in touch with too many people I went to college with, but one of my professors now, we talk on a weekly basis, a few times a week. It's kind of cool to have that small classroom. And I listen to everything, and I didn't take too many notes. I sat there and listened because I was genuinely engaged in everything she had to say.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool.
Pat's now gone to the bathroom.
Well, I drank tea, I drank water, I ate chocolate.
Yeah, Brittany Decker went to the bathroom too.
You never knew. It was so quiet.
I've also gone.
And Jay has gone too. Sarah has not. Sarah has sat back there nice and quiet with nothing else going on. Just nice and chill. And I'm finally, hopefully, almost done with this horrible shit cold that I've been fighting for 2 weeks.
It's terrible.
So what do you have going on this week, Britt?
This week, I will actually be here shooting some segments for our newscast. Right. We're going to focus on CrossFit, and I think people are intimidated maybe by CrossFit before they join, or they hear something about it and don't really know what it is or how to get involved. But I think it'll be cool to show during our fitness segment for our 12:30 show.
So this is actually the first time in now almost, an hour and a half, almost 2 hours that CrossFit's come up. But so here's an interesting question, Brittany Decker. Tell us about your CrossFit experience. I am interested to hear. Like, I know where you came from, but I don't know how you found it, why you found it. I know why you stuck with it because I'm amazing.
Obviously.
And just getting to hang out with me is a plus. But
blessing.
A blessing. So
No,
what is your? So I'm interested to hear the story of Brittany's CrossFit.
Nothing too crazy, but I used to work out a ton, and I used to go to the gym 2 hours a day. I would do cardio, I would lift, and I would go on and off with different things. I would do body pump classes at the gym. I would try spinning. I would do, for Miss America, I had a separate trainer that I would just do everything. I mean, I got into running and a little bit of everything, but I was never able to do things that, like pull-ups or things that I couldn't imagine before. Once I started in Connecticut, I was able to do things that I never thought I could have done. And it's more structured, and it's working on certain movements and skills. Am I missing something?
Jay's looking for a charger.
It's trying to be subtle.
Yeah.
But then we go loud.
For what? For your phone?
Yeah, I was looking for a charger.
Go in my office.
No.
Right by my desk.
Okay.
It's right there.
Doing sign language.
And we don't edit, so that'll be on here. We don't believe in fucking editing. Welcome to our conversations. So go ahead, keep talking. Sorry,
Yeah, no, it's okay. So I've tried a little bit of everything, but I loved everything that I did, and I thought that it was right. But when I started CrossFit, it was just a whole different feel and vibe, and just everything about it I loved. And there was things that I was doing that I never thought that I could have done before. And I think that's a general synopsis of people that you talk to. I never knew I could do pull-ups. I never knew I could lift this weight. And you can grow and learn. And no matter, how long you come for, how long you try, you have to put in the time and the skill and the effort and work on the skills. The more you work on the skills, you get better. But when I came here to Springfield for work, I went to look for a box to join CrossFit, because once you start CrossFitting, you walk into a gym and you don't even really know where to start. And I've been doing this. I would go for 2 hours a day, and you just feel like nothing's the same once you start CrossFitting. But when I came here, I was looking for a box to go to, and I went to several places before coming here, and this worked. I enjoyed your coaching strategies. You, Don, all the coaches that are here. But immediately when we were at the smaller location, I think one of your first members, top first 20 or something like that, 30, and I loved it. I just loved the vibe and the feel, and it worked with my schedule. Everything was just perfect. But, it's very convenient. And I come here, even if I have a crazy schedule, if I come here for half hour, 45 minutes, I am able to socialize, see people that I truly love and care about. This is my Brittany time. This is my me time. But I also get this killer workout in this short amount of time that I could never do spending 2 hours in the gym. In 20 minutes, I can get a workout that I could have never done. So I love it. I'm a big ad. I don't think, I think CrossFit could be for everybody, but I don't think it necessarily is. If someone has an ego or a chip on their shoulder, they don't think, oh, I'm better than it. No, you know what? Then maybe it's not great for you. But I think that everyone should give it a try, because it's for everybody. It's for a pregnant mom or a 50-year-old guy that hasn't worked out forever. It's for, an 18-year-old that's in college that's part of a sports team that wants to build up their endurance and ability and strength that can, last for a lifetime. And what you always promote here is that it's so transferable to what you do here to normal life things. So a lot of times when you're working out, you're not thinking about working out, you're enjoying it, and you see the relationship of how strong you get with real life things. So I don't know, I love it, and I don't think I would do anything else. I don't know. It's become part of my life, and I don't put as much time and dedication as other people do. I unfortunately don't have the time to, but I think I come enough to be able to keep a consistent base and to work on my skills. I mean, since I've come here, I've improved on so many things, on, double unders. When I first came here, I couldn't do one, and just different skills and pushed and strength. And when I did your strength program, I think it was probably a year and a half ago. I doubted you. I doubted you from the beginning. I said, there's no way. And I stopped doing my Metcons for a little while, and I started doing the strength, and I added 30 pounds onto each strength movement that we had. So, I mean, the programs work, and it's really unbelievable if you let it be part of your life.
That's cool.
That's my
I decided to ask Brittany, when you were gone tinkling, I decided to ask Brittany what her, I believe you were tinkling, you were gone rather fast. If it wasn't, then kudos to you, sir. You're a very fast man.
If it's ready to come out, it just goes.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Open up all the sphincters.
Nuggets of wisdom from Brittany Decker.
I mean,
if you're ready to go, then just go.
if you want to take your time, but if you anyway.
Potty advice from Brittany Decker. It's awesome.
Something to teach the kids. Body training.
Exactly. Just let it go. Do you have to go right now? Just let it be. Relax. Let it happen.
Put on some nice meditation music.
Yeah, you're fine.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about, discuss?
Talk about the galaxies and the universe.
Yeah, we talked about a lot more than just Iceland.
I know, way more than Iceland.
Way
kind of gone off track, which it's okay. I mean, that's kind of the purpose of it. I mean, it is pontificating on whatever, so we definitely did do that. I'll be interested to find out I'll be interested to hear this afterwards, sound-wise.
Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Yeah, appreciate Jay. Oh, there is one last thing. Do you know Brittany Decker can sing?
Oh, you tool.
Did you know Brittany Decker has a wonderful voice?
No, I don't know what you're talking
She
about.
does.
I've seen her perform, actually.
Yeah.
You have? Where?
A few places at this point.
Well,
Or just that one time in Westfield.
that one time in Westfield.
That's it?
For me at least.
You're really missing out, buddy.
Brittany
Oh,
Decker.
Jay.
I have a request. I'm going to ask you a question.
No.
Do you know Amazing Grace?
I do know Amazing Grace.
Oh, no.
That's one of my favorite
Is it really?
songs.
I
It
love
really
Amazing
is.
Grace, too.
I'm not religious by any stretch of the imagination, but there's something about Amazing Grace that to me is really beautiful and soulful, and I think it speaks to human nature. I think it just reaches down and touches whatever it is within our brains that recognizes audibly beauty. And I was wondering if you might sing a little bit of Amazing Grace for us, please.
Sure, Coach.
You have water right here.
All right.
So come in close so that it picks
Don't
you
look
up
at me.
well. I won't look at you.
I do
According
love
to
this
Jay,
song.
she doesn't need to, especially if she's singing.
Yeah, no.
This is awkward.
No, it's not.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. No, it is a beautiful song. I used to, when my great-grandmother was very sick, I used to go visit her, and she would always want to sing that song. I sang it at a couple of Fallen Hero events, and actually when I went to the lovely lady that won Miss America my year, I went to Nebraska for her homecoming, and I sang that there too. But it's a beautiful song. I think
Miss Nebraska one?
that's another conversation for a different day. But yeah,
Gotta give Nebraska something, but Nebraska doesn't have Brittany Decker. Sorry.
but it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song, and I think it means a lot to a lot of people.
It does. How did you, this will be kind of a quick little tangent, but how did you discover singing and a love for it? And how did you discover you could sing? Because not everyone can.
It's just a hobby. I mean, it's something I enjoy, but I discovered it through my grandpa. So he used to always play guitar, and at our family gatherings, he would just play guitar, and we would all sit around and sing. And we still do. I mean, he doesn't play as much anymore, but it's kind of a family thing. So it's kind
Yeah,
of
because
just,
your sister sings too.
she's wonderful. She's great. But it's just, it's a hobby. It's something I enjoy. And a lot of times when I play out around here, but I don't take it very seriously. I don't do it because I think I'm great or because, I take it very seriously. I don't practice a lot or anything, but when we play out, you see people are happy, especially places where people are dancing and requesting songs and becoming a part of it or smiling or just, not that they're sitting there watching you, but they're eating their food and they're bobbing their head and they're that's what I love. Like that's what, for me, music makes me happy and live music makes me happy and being out, it just, it's a feel-good type of thing. So I think making other people feel good and relating to different people and different crowds of people, and that's half the battle. When you go play at these different places, you have a set list, probably like 100 songs, but we'll play, we'll kind of gauge the audience. If it's an older crowd, we'll play older music. A younger crowd, we'll kind of incorporate different things. And it's just fun. It's enjoyable, and I like it.
That's Smith and Decker, right?
Yes, thank you for the plug. Yeah, no, Smith and Decker. Michael Smith, he teaches in Longmeadow at a middle school in Longmeadow, and he's a savant. He could just pick up a guitar and play anything by ear and just hear it once, and he's just unbelievable. The best local musician that I've ever heard. Any instrument, anything, anytime. He's a great singer, so he's kind of made it easy and fun. I don't have time to put a lot of effort into it, unfortunately, but he's just made it easy and enjoyable. And I appreciate my friends come out because it makes it exciting.
How did you and Michael get linked up together?
Just through mutual friends. He knew a professor I went to school with, and I would go out and see him, and he would ask me for a long time to kind of, oh, come on, let's go, let's do this. I said, no, I don't have time. He talked me into it, and kind of worked out.
Let me know if you ever need a drummer.
Okay, we do. Actually, we have this kid that goes to one of Berkeley or something, but he comes and he plays percussion at some of our gigs. Anytime you want to just kind of come along and play along. Seriously.
I'm down.
Pat actually went to school for music.
Did he really?
Yeah, I went to school for music for 1 year. I
That's cool.
I got into Berkeley, couldn't afford it, so I went to Columbia College, Chicago.
For you. Anytime, seriously. If you just want to kind of join along, and we'll tell you the song before or whatever, and you kind of probably just pick up the beat.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's your favorite song?
God, I don't know.
You must have a favorite song. When you enjoy singing the most. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. I don't know. I really, Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You.
Really?
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Let's hear a little.
No, Coach. Come on. I gave you what you wanted.
Come on. This is a trap. Yeah, you can.
This is
Come on.
ridiculous.
There's some water right here.
How about an upbeat song?
No. Whitney's Houston,
2
I Will
seconds,
Always
and then-
Love You. This is from the Bodyguard soundtrack, correct?
This is ridiculous.
From the Bodyguard
I never agreed to
soundtrack? Is this correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Come on, this
all
is
right.
acapella. This is awkward.
This is awesome.
You want me to play music on it?
Yeah.
How?
Get on the karaoke soundtrack.
You want Pat to beatbox?
Yeah. Yeah,
He
can you?
can't
Play the
beatbox.
drums. I
Play the
can't.
kettlebell.
Cowbell?
Kettlebell. I'll play the kettlebell.
Play the kettlebell, yeah.
More kettlebell.
Oh, you're a pain. All right. 2 seconds. And that's it.
Well, that's not even like a bar.
If that's it. If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go. But I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And I will always love you. I will always love you. Bittersweet memories, that is all I am taking with me. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. And I will always love you. I will always love you.
That's fucking amazing. No, it is. I've always, my brother is extremely musically inclined. Plays guitar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he got accepted into the Cincinnati School of Music. My brother's one of those people who wasn't conventionally inclined towards academics. Smart in a lot of ways, but always musically very talented. And he had dropped out of high school, or I should say planning on dropping out of high school. And I had an aunt who was living in Cincinnati at the time, and there was an opportunity to go and try out, and you would have to audition. And he decided he'd grown up playing classic. Obviously with like everyone, he learned how to play guitar first on acoustic, and then he loved rock and roll. And he's got hearing problems. He had tubes when he was younger and always had some hearing problems, but amazingly enough, he still could learn to play by ear. He reads music and all that too, which is not all that common. He actually does read music, but he would always learn to play by ear. And what he would do is he would just play it the way it sounded to him. That way it sounds the way to everybody else. He goes out there and he decides he's going to play classical guitar. And he ended up playing Greensleeves in his audition.
And if you know anything about classical guitar is very different than other forms of guitar because classically trained music, you have to play it exactly the way it's composed. There's no deviation. There's no improvisation. And that's where like blues and jazz and all that are such a departure. But he played it. They gave him so on a scale of 1 to 10, they gave him a 9 for musical knowledge. Wow. And they gave him a 10 out of 10 for musical ability.
Wow. Because
he was so flawless in his audition where he played it. He wasn't accepted, or they had to delay entrance because of quotas, racial quotas and stuff like that, because they were trying to open up the arts to disenfranchised, lower income, less representative students. So that was the reason he didn't go. But he was accepted to Cincinnati School of Music, and I've always been impressed by musical talent and ability and the ability to play different instruments. But for me, the human voice and singing is one of those. Just it's the most basic instrument and the most primal instrument, and it's not everyone has it. That's a fucking gift. That's a true gift. And I truly believe that no matter how much you practice, you can pick up instruments like a trade. You can figure that out. You can really work really hard and get better at it. But if you're not given the gift of voice to sing, you can try all you fucking want, and you're still, you'll sound like a good shitty, but it's still going to sound shitty. And I happen to fall into that shitty category as far as voice goes. I can't sing even when my voice is good.
You have to give us a sneak preview of the shittiness.
No. I'm not going to make, I'm sure as fuck not going to follow you singing One Amazing Grace beautifully and then actually
boring everybody to death.
Singing fucking I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston beautifully, because that's not an easy song. And you did a great job.
Oh, thanks, Coach.
That was fantastic. I've always said that I do you know Jolene by Dolly Parton?
We've done it before, yeah.
Because if you listen to her voice, you ever listen to Dolly Parton?
I love Dolly Parton. Patsy Cline, we do Crazy. Yeah, I love the old country.
I think you have that tone, which reminds me a lot of, see? Yeah, I would love to hear you sing Jolene someday.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah, next time. How about you, Pat? What do you think of Brittany Decker's vocal stylings?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Well, is that all we have for today? I think so.
I think that'll about wrap us up. Just so you know, Britt, Jay, Sarah, Kay, anyone who wants, we're still looking for a name for this podcast, and we're actually looking for intro music. Have you come up with anything yet, intro music wise?
Nope.
So this is number 2 of our podcast. I have, and I can show you afterwards. I've at least have the dots that we can now connect to go live after our 3rd podcast, which will be next week. So after that, going live and posting them and hanging them and getting it out there is not going to be all that difficult. So kind of what we need to figure out is intro music. We need to come up with a logo. We need to come up with a name.
Who's your guest next week? You got to announce that today.
Well, we actually haven't come up with a guest yet for next week. Who would you? There you go, Pat. Who would you like to bring in as a guest next week?
That's a good question. I don't know.
How about Steve?
Steve who? Al Husseini? Real Estate 8 Steve?
Real Estate Steve, yeah.
That's Steve? What would make you think of Real Estate Steve?
Real Estate Steve, that's why I nominate.
Why?
You want my opinion.
What? That's an interesting idea.
I think he'd be great.
Why don't we have our guests pick our next guest?
Oh, kind of like
really
the
Steve?
Ice Bucket Challenge. I nominate Steve.
I pick Steve.
You pick Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll discuss that. I don't know how well Steve...
I think he'd be really good.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why do you think he'll be really good? What made you think of Real Estate Steve?
Real Estate Steve?
No, why is that the first name that popped in your head?
What is that the first name that popped in your head?
Steve.
I have a Tinder crush on Real Estate Steve. Yeah, that's my goal.
All right. Well.
Over and out.
Over and out.
All right. Have a good week, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
On.
Fight the good fight. Fuck them all. Talk to you later.
Peace.
There you go, everybody. That's the second episode of Rude and Skewed. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for Pat and I to sit down for our second episode and have a guest. And Brittany Decker was just awesome. It was so great of her to agree to do it. And she came in and she just wailed. Just hearing her sing live was amazing. Sitting there and just seeing her just do her thing was awesome. Hope you all enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. A couple more episodes of Rude and Skewed. And then right back to Muzzle Punch. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.